The Run Lift Mom podcast is brought to you by my efforts as a Zia Active independent representative and partners Hello Woofy for social media, Red H Nutrition, and Audible. Audible is the newest of this lineup, and if you want to try Audible free, all you've got to do is visit audibletrial.com/runliftmom. Welcome to a Saturday with Susie episode of the Run Lift Mom podcast, where we're talking about running, lifting, and momming, not necessarily in that order. Today, we're going to spend all of our time squarely in the running category. As many of you know, I'm training for a 100-mile race. That's right, it's the longest ultramarathon I've ever done, and it's been on my bucket list for about a decade now. It's in late March, so the overall weekly volume in my schedule, y'all, it's far higher than what I'm typically used to with traditional marathon training. Now, I don't think anybody else out there is necessarily training to run 100 miles, but maybe you would like to do an endurance race that requires more volume, more number of miles than you're used to currently. I want to give you 3 takeaways from this 100-mile training that you can use, whether your big race is a 5K or an ultramarathon. Number 1, doubles and triples. You guys, I'm doing a lot of multiple runs throughout the day since my race is likely going to span the course of 25 or 30 hours. Now, I did a single 12-hour effort that yielded 65 miles about a month ago, but that's the only extremely long run that I'm going to do. I've talked about not going beyond 3 hours in a single training effort here before, kind of in the lens of marathon training. You guys, I stand by it even in the ultramarathon world. Here's the thing, I need to prepare my body for the volume, but also I'm knocking on 40 years old, and there's a fine line between volume and injury. So I'm running multiple times in a single day, 2-3 times. For example, let's say I've got 20 miles to run. That could be 10 in the morning plus 10 in the evening, or maybe I even split it up to 7, 7, and 6. Now, naturally, I have to schedule this around childcare and that kind of thing, and you probably will with work and life, but splitting your effort is a way to achieve high volume. Strategy number 2, back-to-back long efforts. So another approach I'm using in an effort to prepare my body for the fatigue that I'll feel in the later miles of my race, back-to-back long runs. This would be, for example, doing a 12-mile scheduled long run as a key effort and then doing 10 the following day. The outcome here, it's training effect. I want my legs to be tired on run number 2. I also want to run through it so I'm stronger on the other end. Now note that you can combine this with strategy number 1, doubles or triples, and that's if you're training for a marathon or above. The third strategy, splitting the difference on bedtime. I know that sleep is a crucial part of recovery, and I am programming it as if it were mileage. My strategy, and I did take this from an infant sleep consultant that I interviewed in season 1, is to go to bed 20 to 30 minutes earlier and wake up 20 to 30 minutes later than I normally would. And I'm defining normal here as when I'm not training for a specific race. You guys, this gives me at least a half hour extra each night, and it translates to upwards of 3.5 to 5 hours extra per week. My body needs that. I bet yours does too. I hope these tips are helpful for you, and I challenge you to choose one of them to apply during your next race training, whether it's a 5K or a 100 miler. I want to clarify also, guys, that I am not a doctor, so check with yours as you begin your program. And speaking of, if you are in need of a personalized program, I want you to visit runliftmompod.com/train, and you can get on my list. Coaching launches next month, and I've got limited space, but I would love to work with you. And until I get into your earpiece again, remember, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. That's from 1 Timothy 4:8, and this has been the Run Lift Mom podcast. It's time for the Red H Nutrition Product of the Week, and this week it is Zen Rem. You guys hear me when I say you cannot run, lift, or mom your best if you're not getting proper rest. Yes, you are hearing me talk about the same Red H thing over and over again, but Zen Rem is my favorite product. I believe that you'll find a tangible difference in 7 days of using this. You can check out details, and then in the show notes, you'll see a hyperlink to the Red H Nutrition website. Use code RUNLIFTMOM, that's RUNLIFTMOM, for 10% off, and get to snoozing. Hey, Run Lift Mom listeners, you know I'm the mom of 4 kids under age 5, and therefore I am always looking for ways to work smart, not hard. Anchor is the smartest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you why. First of all, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, but Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so then it can be heard on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a whole lot more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is quite literally everything you need all in one place, and y'all, it's free. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you for listening to the Run Lift Mom podcast. This show began as a passion project in February 2019 as a way to uplift other women in the areas of running, lifting, and motherhood. I have been blessed by this project, over 30,000 listens, and I have great relationships with the guests who have come on this show, as well as you, dear listener. Listeners, if you can rate, review, and subscribe, that really helps other folks find the show. Also keeps my show sponsors happy. Thank you for being a part of the Run Lift Mom podcast.